like I said before, these are hit or miss on what you want. Like if you want it to sound flatter, it's gonna make it a little bit flatter. That stuff kind of makes it sound a little bit cleaner. It can be beneficial to have it on if it sounds good. If it doesn't sound good, turn it off, see what it sounds like. Um, but what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna duplicate this, and then we're gonna like highlight one of them. We're gonna press Command X to cut. Go to the next channel that you just made. Press Command V. It's gonna paste it. We're gonna make sure that it's the full length. And then that's gonna be just your open hi-hats by themselves. So we're gonna do that for each instrument. Go to the beginning of it and press Command X to cut, Command D to duplicate, and then Command V to paste. And now you have your hi-hats on their own channel. So then this is why it's going to be important. You'll see in a second. It's to make sure that you have everything in their own channel so that you can tweak each thing on its own once you've printed everything or bounced everything. So we're going to take this, and this is your clap or snare. I usually just call it snare unless it's very obviously a clap. This kind of sounds like a combination of a clap and a snare. So we're going to press Control B again. We're going to say snare. We're going to have the mute on the original source, and then we're going to turn all these other ones off. Actually, I just realized that there's no snare on this. So we're going to do that again. Snare. It was kind of cool to have the snare off sometimes, though, on that fourth beat. So that's your kick. This is your hi-hat. So I usually say CHH, which stands for closed hi-hats. It's just a little bit easier. Sometimes it's easier to find the channel whenever you're doing that, too. And then this is going to be your open hi-hats. So I do like OAH. And then you can take all these channels now, and I usually like click and drag them, bring them together, and then drag them all to the bottom. And then I'll press X to bring up the mixer, and then I'll turn all this off. I guess you can't turn the drum machine off itself, but it doesn't take up very much space or processing by itself, so it's not that big of a deal. But now we have all the bounce tracks, and with that, so say with this section right here, we did all that extra work or whatever to make it not so bright, and we took out the open hi-hats. Now all you have to do is select everything, all the drum parts, not this open hi-hat, and then Option, click and drag, and then you can either click and drag or you can have all of them. Command R will duplicate it after. And I usually do that, but just to make sure that you're doing it right, you may want to just bring it to the sections. Also, another thing too, this snap, you want it to be like smart snap, because basically if you click bar, it'll only let you put it to the bar. If you do beat, it'll only let you do to the beat. Ticks and stuff aren't even going to line it up to the grid, and then you're going to have all kinds of weird problems if you do that. So smart, and then make sure it's on. And then so this is going to be your hook right here, because of we have the hi-hats in there. I might take out the reverb bells. So also on this one, we don't need this one anymore, because basically I was just showing you the difference in the two. What we can do instead is you can either duplicate this track, these tracks, and then take each one and bring it to the new track. and then call it like snare intro slash verses, or intro snare dash verses, or whatever, you know. You can call it whatever you want, really, but this is how I keep it more organized. And you can do stuff like that pretty easily. And it gives you, you know, different sections. So when you hear the brightness on that of the drums, like if you're listening just to the drums, the loud things are going to be, or the high pitched, the treble-y stuff is going to be your hi-hats and stuff, your snare sometimes. But if you listen to this, it's a high-pitched noise. So if you want your verse to sound a little bit darker, bring this over, you know, to whatever you prefer it. So you can hear the difference in that. So now you can either, like, if you want to make it the whole length of the song, you can start dragging out your sections and stuff. I would say have the, like, after the intro part, come in between, like, you know, 12 to 15 seconds of the song. If you wait too long, it's just going to be a really long intro, and you're going to probably not have as big of a song unless you're like 21 Savage and you have, you know, a minute long intro section. But unless you got a big producer helping you out or something, you're probably not going to get nearly as much for it. But so we'll have these sections included. I'm going to do like a big old hook, and then we'll go back to the verse after that for like 16 bars. And then what I usually do is so if you shift, click, and drag, you can highlight big sections, and then option, click and drag, and move it to the other section. And then, you know, you can do that again. Sometimes the guys will do the hook twice, or the chorus part of the song twice at the end. If you go to the very end of it, this is the time. So right now it's a 3-minute song, and then a lot of times guys will have like the song kind of end, like it'll go from that to that or whatever. Another big thing that you can do is you can go to, like, right before the hook starts, and you highlight all this, and you press Command T with this, like, a bar out. And then what Command T does is it's a trim tool or a split tool. So it'll cut on that. So, like, if I have just this section cut, I can do something like this. So if you can do that, then you can kind of like cue the artist to know when the song's about to transition without having to add a transition to the song. So if you want it to be, you know, a little bit more like organic, you can do that kind of stuff. It's also one less thing that you have to worry about too. So if you do something like that. Another thing you could do is, like, in the intro, you could have it start with, you know, maybe just your snare and your hi-hat, and then make it go to like nothing, and then have it come in to make it hit harder. Or you could do nothing and then have just the snare and the hi-hat come in. just kind of builds up that way. Yeah, something like that could be cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do, a lot of different techniques and stuff. I'll probably describe in some other videos and whatever. But this is basically what you want to do. Starting out like a really simple beat. I mean, this is the basic gist of it. There's obviously more things that you can do, different ways you can do it too. Like you don't have to do it the same way every time. You know, I'm gonna go through now and do like a couple little other things you can do. So like if you want to like reverse a section, it's kind of cool in the intro. You can do it in the whole song if you want to, though. You know, if you find something cool that sounds cool backwards, you know, screw it, just do it. You know, like find different. That kind of sounds sweet. So it's like find different little things that you can do, be experimental, watch other videos and stuff just to see like what different people do to make their beats. And there's hundreds of ways to do it. You know, there's so much you can do to make yourself stand out. Another big thing to do too, to make sure there's no clicking. I think a lot of people have this issue. If you highlight everything, and we'll do like a 6-second fade here and a 6-second fade out. Basically what that does is if you actually look at this, there's like a little like fade that comes in. And that's like for 6 milliseconds, it'll be there and then it'll stop. Or it'll kind of like, you know, fade in. So like say I want the intro to be like super quiet in the beginning and then get louder. We could do something like that, which doesn't sound very good. So maybe set the curve back. Sometimes you can do something like crazy, like maybe like 10,000. You know, it's just really what you want to do. If you press Option and click on the parameter, it'll set it back to whatever it was before too. That's another little gem. We can also, if you want to change the pitch, you can change the you can use this transpose here. So like say on this one, we want it to be like an octave down. Let's drop it down to 12. -12 is an octave down. +12 is going to be an octave up. -24 is 2 octaves down. So it's in 12 semitones. And then you can change the pitch that way. I can also, if I right click, I believe, maybe it's not right click. You can type it in if you want to. And then so whatever I did that, it only does this one. You can see there that it only transposed this one. So like you can also say I duplicate this track, put one below it, turn that back down to normal, and then have this one be an octave higher. You put them together, and it will have them layered on top of each other. So just another thing that you can try. And I'll probably end up making a video just showing you everything and a bunch of other different techniques and stuff that people use to give you some more ideas on what you can do. But yeah, we'll just start with that, go from there.